Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope.
The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything.
You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Kennon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right. Welcome to the show, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. How's it going tonight? We're on a new to us,
Yes.
new dial, new station, 94.9 FM, 950 AM, The Answer. We're excited to be here. We're about a month in. We're just dusting the cobwebs off from the last station, and now we went to podcasts for a while. Our podcasts are always there on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you stream, listen to it there, or on YouTube, Contractor Talk Podcast there, and ContractorTalkPodcast.com. You can find us in many different places. Hans Kennon, what's going on, brother?
Oh, no, just here following the news. You know, the legislative session starts in March, but there's plenty of things already starting to happen. It's starting to make the newspaper, so a few things to talk about on that today.
Yeah, I heard there is a special session on the condo stuff or whatever that he called.
There's one on immigration.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Is Dan Newland a part of that? Anybody going to Columbia or something? Is it Columbia?
I've asked the ambassador.
Yeah, well, you got to ask the ambassador for sure. So is this like his wife from Columbia or something? What was that? Is that how he got in?
No.
Oh,
not that I'm aware of.
I mean, besides millions of dollars, I mean, I'm just trying to hide it up a little bit, make it like,
sure.
Oh, yeah, that's why. He's very interested in the country. No, you didn't get that? Okay, cool. I have no idea, but I mean, not a bad choice. So anyway. But anyways, yeah, some good stuff. So you got some stuff in the news that you're going to go over today. We have to actually get to it, so we'll make sure we make some time.
We will.
But first, with all this weather and everything like that, we have water heaters busting. We have all kinds of stuff going on. So we have
crazy out there, right?
It is. It's absolutely crazy. So want to talk to you or have a special guest on our show to talk to you about that. He is the I had a better intro in my head for this, but the intro is much better. I'll just pass it on over to Bradley. What's going on, man? How are you?
Not bad, man. Thank you guys for having me on again.
Pleasure
being here.
Absolutely. He's with the Drain Daddy. So tell us about the services and where you service, and I heard you have some different things going on in the first quarter this year.
2025 hopefully will team out to start a little better than the end of last year. But yeah, we're a full service residential and commercial plumbing contractor serving the greater Orlando area. Small team with a mighty footprint, and we do a little bit of everything.
Awesome. And and you were on our show last year, and thank you for coming back. And and last time on the show we were talking about what we kind of thread in with every show on, of course, our listeners and contractors alike, to like what to do in case of that one time of need if you do have to file a claim against your property insurance. We talked a lot about plumbing over the past several years and how that affects us here as consumers, or what those triggers are of how there could be reimbursement for certain types of losses. We've talked about the old plumbing lines, the cast iron drain lines. If you are at a home 1975 or before, it sounds like a Morgan & Morgan commercial. If you're in a home from 1975 or before, you could be covered. But and you have a cast iron plumbing, and it backs up, right?
Yeah.
Fails at any point. There could be reimbursement for that. But and talking through today, you were talking about, well, right now, currently with how cold it is right now. I was asking you what types of calls are you getting right now?
Yeah, in the wintertime, in the colder months, we get a lot of water heater calls and a lot of leaks because we don't insulate the plumbing here like they do up north. So we don't anticipate those freezing temperatures, those high 30s, low 30s, mid 30s. And as water expands and it has nowhere to go, it's gonna create some problems for homeowners in Central Florida.
So does it leak from the water heater itself, or just like the connections going to and from?
Well, it's the constant expansion and contraction, right? You have hot water. The hot water heater is designed to heat the water, and then when you're using the water out of that tank, it's going to replenish itself. And when the groundwater drops significantly, that expansion and contraction just causes the tanks to fail. They're probably already on their way out. This just kind of exacerbates that problem. We tend to do a lot more water heater calls in the wintertime.
Now, you mentioned the plumbing lines expanding and contracting. Is that just so heat would expand, make the lines expand, and then you have the just extreme cold of the cold water coming in, the cold flow, or the cold water flowing through the pipes, and that would just make it kind of.
It's usually at night, right? So when you're all in bed, those systems are fully pressurized, and there's no outlet. There's no way for that water to expand. So as the water does drop in temperature and it wants to freeze or gets close to freezing temperatures, it'll expand. And if it has nowhere to go, it's going to find a way out. Hose bibs, anything exposed on the outside of the house, backflow preventers, we do a lot of those in the wintertime. Hose bibs that are exposed. A lot of times, like repipes, if they don't insulate the piping when they run it up into the attic from the outside, those are typically where we get a lot of those leaks. And sometimes we get some slab leaks in the winter as well, but usually it's the stuff that's really exposed to the elements in the cold weather.
A couple years ago, I replaced my water heater, and I got one that's a heat pump. It actually blows
the hybrid.
Blows cold air into my garage, which I just think is fabulous, actually, because it kind of for me it's like free air conditioning during the summer months. It actually pushes out a lot of cold air.
It does. The benefit of those for clients like you said is in Florida, our garage is our basement. You store a lot of people store really important documents, pictures and photos from the kids' schools, things that they don't want to have in the attic because the attic's going to ruin everything. And not only can you cool the garage, right, but you're going to save. It's going to pay for itself over the life expectancy of the unit. A standard 50-gallon water heater costs over $500 a year in energy on average. That hybrid water heater costs you $110 a year.
Oh.
So you get the ROI plus it's like an added benefit. Hey, we're going to save you money and we're going to cool the garage down while we heat your water.
So is that more of a product type? I haven't heard of this.
It's basically a small air conditioning unit on top of a water heater. So it sucks the heat out of the garage, uses heat transfer to heat the water in the tank, and then blows out cold air.
And it's chilly, man. You come out there some days, even in the spring, you go, "Ooh, it's cold in the garage," and you realize especially when my kids are home from college. Then it's extra cold in my garage when kids get home because they're in their shower 3 times a day.
Some clients will have like a detached laundry room or a small shed that's not air conditioned space. So we'll put that heat pump water heater inside the garage, and then they have a duct system that you can run into a separate area if need be.
Oh, wow.
So it'll cool an area.
It's been nice. Like I would recommend anyone, if you get in the market, to get one. The hybrid, the heat pump thing has been great.
And we offer those.
And that's great. And if somebody is listening and they did want to have your service or want to get one of these things installed, you mentioned something about water purifiers and things like that. So give us a rundown and then how to contact you.
Yeah, we just launched our own water treatment system, so it's all in-house. We can control the quality of the product instead of leaning on other manufacturers for their products. And you can find us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 689-227-9713, or you can book an appointment online at thedraindaddy.com.
Awesome. And I remember last time you said be careful when you're searching for your name online, and that's great. But thedraindaddy.com, super easy, simple, perfect. And you cover the Central Florida area.
Greater Central Florida, and we'll be expanding in some other markets hopefully by the end of this year.
Awesome. Now, is there a relatively what's the pricing look like? Does it all depend on the size of the house? How many outlets? I mean,
it does. So for certain things, we offer free estimates, but our trip fee is only $59. You get a certified plumber to come out to the house. We assess any issue that you may have in front of you. We give 3 options minimum and allow you to make your decision educated. We educate our clients and just tell them, hey, this option is going to come with this. This option is going to come with that. But we can do this for now and get you by.
Do you have like an annual like subscription, like for a certain amount of money they'll come out or anything like that?
Yeah, our maintenance program is only $99 a year, or you can do $9.99 a month. And we come out twice a year when you sign up, and then at the completion of that 12-month program, and we drain and flush the water heater. We check all of the visible plumbing in the entire house, angle stops, we dye test the toilets, and just give you kind of a healthy update. We call it our the Drain Daddy report card.
Nice.
$99 a year?
Yeah. It's not bad. In it, you get 15% off of any work that we do in that 12-month period. You get 24-hour priority service at no additional charge, which means that 59 stays 59, whether it's 2 in the morning on a Tuesday or 1 in the morning on Christmas Day. Right. You also get priority calling, which means you get bumped to the front of the list even if we're fully booked. We make it happen.
Well, that's good to know. Now, if I have a one of those tankless water heaters, and it is through gas. Are you able to service that? Is that a serviceable
we
thing?
do service that. If you have tankless water, there's some parameters that may change based on the size of the home, the number of water heaters, number of bathrooms, but usually it's another $99 to do a service and flush on a tankless water heater, where we descale it, we pull the covers off, we check the filters, pull out any of the junk that may be in there that gets accumulated over time.
Wow, that's great. That's a great price. That's awesome. That's cheaper than air duct cleaning.
Well, we don't pay for advertisement, so we can afford to do it at that price because all of our business is referral based.
Yeah,
So.
no, that's great. That's great. And you were saying the first quarter of this year you have a lot of things coming out and I think that was one of them.
Yeah.
What else you got going on?
So we're actually moving, year 3 up till now. We've been kind of working out of a really small 2,000 square foot boiler room style office. The warehouse is now packed to the brim. We have 22-foot ceilings, and I think in some spaces we're 18-foot high with plumbing material and equipment. And we just signed a lease on a 7,200 square foot facility on the border of Maitland Winter Park. And we're really looking forward to bringing clients in, bringing realtors in, bringing some small business owners in, and kind of using that space as an event space as well as a plumbing office.
All right, nice. So anything from just changing out faucets to just even as small as just fixing clogs and drains and things like that.
Everything.
You're the drain daddy for that.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm a plumber at heart. I've been doing this for 23, going on 24 years, and I understand that if I take care of a client on something piddly and don't charge them, they're going to call me when something major goes wrong, right? That's how we build those relationships. It's not about hitting a home run at every single client's house. It's about care, consideration, patience, and education, really.
Right. Now, and if somebody does have that failure of the drain line and such, and you had to replumb the lines, that is all going, through the attic now and different upgraded plumbing lines?
For water lines, yeah, we run it all through the attic, depending on the house. If it's a crawl space, we run it in the crawl space, right? If it has an attic, we run it in the attic. If it's a flat roof, we have to figure out. we run it wherever we can possibly run it.
Here, I have a valve question. A couple of years ago, I went to turn off a valve on a toilet, and it didn't want to move in a house we bought a few years ago. And I'm sure the guy never changed them out. House was built in 1989, and so I wanted to get the valves replaced, and it was recommended that I don't use quarter stop, that you use like 3-turn or whatever it was.
The multi-turn stops.
Yeah.
It really depends on quality of material, right? A lot of companies will buy the cheapest product and try to sell it for the highest price, right? We get all stainless steel quarter-turn angle stops. There's no moving parts. There's no plastic stem. There's no rubber washer that can fail. And it's also directly related to water quality as well. There's only 3 reasons why plumbing systems fail. It's either age of the fixture, water pressure, or water quality, right? And water quality, we see it time and time again, that everything that we deal with, most of the things that we deal with are directly related to water quality.
One thing I want to talk about is we have a bar in the house, and the bar sink has the most water pressure of anything in the entire house. Like the showers don't do as well, the kitchen does well. But boy, you go over to that bar sink and you crack it open, and water comes out of there like there's no tomorrow. And I've always been trying to figure out. I may call you because I'll go 10 feet from here in my master bathroom. Like you get decent, like whoosh, but you walk 10 feet away and hit that bar sink, man, and water comes out like, I don't know why that is.
It's probably one of the older faucets before they instituted these water restrictions and put in flow restrictors in faucets. We do it all the time. We'll go to a custom shower remodel, and I will pull the flow restrictor out of the shower head because I know the first time that they get in that shower, they're going to call up and say the pressure is too low.
Right.
Most faucets have 1 1/4 gallons per minute, and some faucets are even designed to only give you less than that. For aesthetics or for the way that the flow of the water or waterfall style faucets, they restrict the flow purposely.
Right. I guess on the ones that go into those the
vessel.
The vessel. I guess too much water, they end up sloshing out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all done by engineers and designers to make it flow how they want for aesthetics and design.
Right.
Take the aerator out, pull the flow restrictor, put it in. don't even worry about calling the plumber. Just pull that little tiny O-ring out of the shower head and make the wife happy.
I mean, for me, it's worth the $99 to have them come out, be on priority, have them there every year, like updating this. This one sucks, like you said, like, you know, make them all equal. With it's worth $100.
And that's those little things. We don't nickel and dime the clients. If we're there and we see something like that we know is going to make a huge difference, it's going to make sure that they'll remember that when they hop in that shower every day and they love the pressure, and it's been like that for 2 years and they didn't think there was anything, or they were afraid to call the plumber. It takes us 5 seconds to pull that little O-ring out, put the shower head in, and the clients think about it on a regular basis.
I would. I want to get back to the drain line, because I definitely asked that wrong. So if we have a drain line, like say so cast iron, and I think we talked about it a little bit on the show before. There are other companies that would maybe put in like an inside sleeve of some sort to
like an inliner.
Yeah,
pipeliners,
like a pipeliner, right, and to try to salvage it rather than running a new line and replace it, because you have to trench through the concrete in the house and such like that. What is your thoughts on
I mean, pipelining has its place, right? If you're working on an industrial property and it's a 400-foot straight run and it's going to cause them to shut down the production line for 2 weeks so plumbers can come in and saw cut the floor and replace that just a long stretch of pipe, then pipelining may be an option. But when you're looking at residential applications, I personally would rather saw cut the floor and replace it and give them a great warranty and know that it's all been replaced, especially with cast iron faults, because that pipeliner is going to take the exact shape of the existing pipe. You can try to descale, but all of the imperfections that are in that 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old pipe are going to be there permanently. They just put a liner on the inside that's going to make it a little bit smoother. So maybe you're not going to get those paper stoppages, but they still have to cut the floor at transitions and where there's branch lines that tie in. And pipelining is very expensive, you know?
Yeah. From what I understand, not all the time successful, especially if you have an area where it just bottoms out. How you're able to kind of get that to mend, especially when you're on soil, you know, in my head, wouldn't work out.
Or if it's bellied, if it's bellied, you know, if there's any significant misalignments in the pipe, like I said, it's just going to take the shape of the existing pipe that's there. So if there's some real significant imperfections or problems, faults, back pitch, bellies, I won't recommend pipelining to anyone unless I absolutely know that they need it.
You know, and that's a good point, because if you're listening now and you have dealt with this in the past year, you're dealing with it now, and your house was built prior to 1975, and you have these original cast iron drain lines, and you're just having constant clogs and backups, and you've had some damage onto to your property from it. It could be covered under your policy of insurance. And Hans Kennon here is an attorney by law and handles a lot of these types of cases. But to your point, though, many people have selected or elected to go with the retrenching to have to replace the lines. And if you have 2 bathrooms, 3 bathrooms plus a kitchen, that's a lot of trenching. That's a lot of floor, some walls, and some other things that some real cost in the replacement of that.
Yeah, and it's scary when you're the plumber, right? It's almost like don't shoot the messenger, but I try my best not to have to give my clients that bad news, but we use camera technology and we put it right down the drain. We show the client. I always ask my customer, you want to watch a crappy movie with the plumber? And we can show them. There's no guesswork. There's no, is he telling me the truth? Do I need another opinion? We're able to take photos, take video, show it to the client live, whether we're on the roof, under the house. We can pop out and say, look, this is what I would recommend in my opinion. Let's look at the video together. You see these imperfections, you see all this scale build up, you see where the pipe is bottomed out. There's a couple of options that I'm going to give you. Some of them may be some semi-temporary, some can be like spot repairs, but if it's bad in one spot, all the piping is the same age. So I'm going to also give you the option for full replacement. And sometimes you need to digest that a little bit, because like you said, it's a significant amount of work and people don't ever anticipate that, especially shortly after real estate transactions, because the home inspectors, it's an additional cost. And some buyers forego that camera inspection, which we charge $595 to do a whole house camera inspection for a standard 2-3 bathroom house, but it could save you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Right. And best to be done by a licensed plumber rather than a home inspector, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I see you holding on to an article over here, Hans, that I want to try to get to before our first break. If you at least want to kind of tee it up a little bit.
Read it.
Yeah.
Sure, a little bit. I mean, it goes onto another page. That's how much full of chock full of information
Wow.
this is.
That's
From the Orlando
exciting.
Sentinel, it says 2 years after reforms, lawmakers share insurance horror stories. Right, we all knew back in December of 2022.
I was going to say that.
December of 2022, we all knew it was going to be a problem when they struck everything out and took out all the attorney's fees and took out everyone's rights to do things and made the consumer have to bear all those costs.
It was 3 special sessions and the first banking and insurance session of the last year's special or 2 years ago special session, or regular session rather. A lot of law changes in that, and like you said, eroded a lot of the consumer protections. And so now they're coming after what, Hurricane Ian, and recent since then.
More recently.
And
And
Helene.
interesting. Daniel Alvarez, who's the House rep, a Republican no less. When I'm on the street, I simply don't know how to talk to my constituents when they bring up their insurance issues. This is what I know. I know I voted on a bill that every insurance expert told me, give me 2 years, Danny, before you start getting hot, right? And you will see either prices stabilize and come down or come down. And I don't know that I've seen either of those two. And when I'm the guy who faces the consumer, I just don't know what to tell them anymore other than, I'm sorry, I've got people leaving because they can't afford it anymore, and this is the main driver. So that's just a little snippet of lawmakers finally seeing, kind of what we talked about before, is the pendulum that we feel has swung too far one way, the insurance company way, and where you have clients and insureds talking about a lady from Hurricane Ian, 83-year-old Fort Myers woman whose home was tremendously damaged. She got $10,000 and she's still waiting to finish off the claim. Obviously, Ian is September of 2022. We're now January 2025. I mean, it's really become again.
That's crazy.
The crisis now is not a lack of insurability for people. It's an ability to afford the premiums for companies that are still making a ton of money. And we always people talk about, well, hurricanes cost insurers a lot of money. The reality is hurricanes are picked up by what's called a reinsurer. So your insurance company has their own insurance company that pays those claims for them.
And that's what we've said over years past. It's not the attorneys, it's not the roofers, it's not the contractors. The boogeyman does not exist in this world, but yet they have pointed at whatever it is, the reason, which is the boogeyman, that the premiums of property insurance continues to go up every year. And we found out that really, when you look into it, the cost of reinsurance has doubled in many cases. And so you're finding out that there are other reasons. And in fact, one of the insurers came out, I forgot which insurance company, but that went through the whole, I want to say just post, I think it was maybe from the data, if I remember more or less, where all the insurance companies had to turn in how much they were spending on certain expenses, even broken down to how much they spend in defense attorney's
costs,
fees
right.
and those types of things, to find out that in many cases you're looking at 2% of the problem being AOBs and those types of related matters.
That overall, the total spend by the insurer was actually not that impacted by either attorney's fees, AOBs, or even defense fees. It's simply just a way to make money.
Right.
And the headline of this goes, Florida's insurance commissioner might not want the legislature to pursue any major new reforms, don't know why, during the upcoming session, but lawmakers on House and Senate committees that determine which bills advance might not be so patient. 2 years after voting to enact bills aimed at reducing rates of claims abuses and litigation against insurers, lawmakers arrived at 2 meetings in Tallahassee, loaded with complaints from constituents and questions about the state of the insurance industry. Not so much, again, the ability to get coverage, but the cost of that coverage and the fact that people aren't getting paid.
Right, and we'll talk about this after the break, and whether are these people in condos, are they in HO3 residential single-family homes, and that's what I think the lawmakers are going to first try to fix is the condo issue.
No, we can talk about that. That swung a whole different direction. Yeah.
Did it? Holy cow! And just like it did years prior, rather, where right at the last minute, Senate Bill 2A, then they had to come up with Senate Bill 2D to appease all sides. So with this and more, we'll be right back after the break here on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. All right, we're back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thanks for hanging out throughout the break. 94.9 FM, 950 AM, The Answer. On a new dial for us, but not new to our podcast world. Check us out on YouTube, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Or go to our website, contractortalkpodcast.com. Or if you're on Spotify or iTunes, check us out there. We are streaming on all of those different streaming places you can find. Here with Drain Daddy today. I love that, man. Gotta love the name, but a serious business here in the Central Florida area. Already talking some good information for you, consumers that are listening and contractors alike that we talk with, especially if you're in the trades type of field, whether you're an AC person, another type of service, you run into somebody that has a leaky drain pipe somewhere along the line and they're asking you for a referral. How easy is it to say, just call Bradley at the Drain Daddy, just look him up at thedraindaddy.com? How easy is that?
Super easy. And we love our referral partners. I do a lot of work. I've got home inspectors that send me photos every day and just say, what do you think about this? Is this supposed to look like that? Or I love giving advice. I love helping out small businesses, contractors, friends and family, home inspectors, realtors, roofers, you name it. They hit me up on a regular.
I bet. And what a great resource here if you're in Central Florida. We mentioned before about it just being a little bit colder than normal here. And you mentioned about how you have these like common leaks that are popping up around, whether it be the hot water tanks and those types of things. You're a great kind of contractor to have in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Is to go thedraindaddy.com, boom, and I love your idea or your product on the annual $99. You can't beat it. You get the original service up front, and then another one every year?
Yeah, every 12 months when it's time for your renewal, we come back out to the house and we perform that same flush maintenance on the water heater and check all the visual plumbing for any leaks or defect. I mean, how often do you pull everything out from underneath the kitchen sink to see if there's a leak?
Yeah.
Usually by the time you find out there's a leak, the base cabinet has fallen in and the Ajax has fallen over.
Right.
You know, it's nice to have a professional plumber come out to the home and kind of catch those things before they turn into something significant.
Right. Yeah, so great to have you on the show again, and we hope to continue to have you on and use your professionalism to really just inform the consumers and contractors alike about who and how and those types of things. If you hear like that type of trigger come up and it's like, hey man, like, like I've learned from you already, it's like, man, the water pressure is really low in here. I wonder if I can adjust that. To give you
without spending an arm and a leg, right?
Exactly.
You know, people are so afraid. It's almost like the dentist. Oh man, we got to call the plumber for that. It's just low pressure. We'll live with it. Well, what if I could fix it in 2 minutes? As part of our maintenance agreement program, you get those benefits of it's $99 a year, and while we're there, we're going to do those little things that make a huge impact for customers.
Let me ask this: for the annual, then. So if you have problems with water heaters in the cold, like what's the problem in the summer? What's the summertime problem? Is there one?
Like I said before we went live, for some reason, all of our sewer digs, mainline sewer line replacements, for the tree roots are growing faster. We have a lot more rain, and they get into those drain lines. And for some reason, my guys are always out in the summertime digging sewer lines, fixing sewer repairs and stuff like that.
Is that from the? Is that like the city, or are you running like septic lines out?
Either one, but typically we're on the homeowner side, right? So the exterior sewer line is from the home to the city connection, and for some reason it's like a plumber's curse. We can't get those that type of work in the spring or in the fall and winter months when it's bearable to be outside. But we're shovels are in the ground all summer long, you know.
Oh my goodness. So Hans, back to you on the on the article. Right before the break, we're talking about how the legislative session is going to be starting up this March. And over the past several years, we've seen that this major insurance reform is coming up. Obviously, we have our opinions on how it got to this place and how our bought-out governor is running for president to make all these things happen. $100 million will allow some major change to exist, and that's exactly what happened in several of the 2022 to 2023 years, where we had an outgoing Speaker of the House that didn't allow a lot of change to happen, did allow the first change to happen, but did a lot of pushback, and we had a change of the guard at the end of 2022, and then we had 2 more special sessions that greatly affected the insurance market here in the state of Florida. And then House Bill 837, which was in March of 2023, which what we call the death nail of attorney's fees for all disputes and insurance.
Well, and I think one other way to look at that, as we always talk about, is while it took away attorney's fees, which some people might go, oh, maybe that's a good thing. Well, as the consumer, if you have a claim or have a problem and you're not getting the service that you expect from your insurer, but that means no attorney fees means you pay me now instead of your insurance company paying me.
When they're wrong.
Well, no, so if you need $10,000, you're entitled to $10,000, you have to now pay me a percentage of that money to get money you already are owed. So it's not like you're getting extra money or we're trying to do something more for you. These are economic claims. If damage is damage, it costs a certain amount to fix. But the insurer is going to say, well, we'll give you what we owe you, but you have to pay Mr. Kennon now. That was a change in the statute. So we talk about the fact that attorney's fees are now gone. Again, when some people might go, oh, that's probably fair. Everybody should pay. Well, if you think you have the same economic capacity as State Farm or Allstate, you don't. They have more time and more ability. And I tell people all the time, if they don't pay your claim, you know what happens to those people? Nothing. What happens to you is you got to watch. You're watching TV and watching the stars at night, coming through the hole in your roof. You don't have the same economic capacity as that insurer. And part of Senate Bill 76, which is from a couple of years ago, was that the insurers are going to have to transmit and provide the information we were talking about before the break about how much they spend on claims, how much they spend on attorneys, all those things. And the Democrat Jason Pizzo complained about the fact that the insurers claim that information that they have to give to the state is trade secret and they don't have to disclose it even to the House and Senate. And he talks about the fact that to challenge the trade secret designation, he would have to file a lawsuit, he said. I voted for Senate Bill 76, which restricted lawsuits against insurers, and it did that by taking away your right to have your legal bill paid by your insurer. And I got a 1-page summary of the litigation data from Office of Insurance Regulation. 1 page. They submit thousands and thousands of pages.
That was Pizzo, the Democrat Pizzo?
Yeah.
Really? Because he is a lawyer, so I would think that he would definitely want this information.
And he said, seeing the data, he said, would help him identify rogue insurers that outright reject claims. So the legislature passes the bill that says you insurers have to provide us with information about basically your litigation practices, your payment practices, amount of claims denied. And they say, well, that's our trade secret. We don't have to give it to you. That's to the House and Senate, the people who passed the bill.
That's crazy.
So much
Nowhere in the bill did that say that. In Senate Bill 76, it did not say that.
Not
It
at
said
all.
that the OIR has to is the body, and then they given them 1 year, it's basically the next January, to turn in all that data in all of this form. Now.
Right.
The problem is that there was nothing, there was no teeth to that, because
Right.
there was no
there's no remedy.
Right. If you do not turn this in, then X happens. And so, but the next year we come back and everybody was asking, it's like, hey, Senator Boyd, where is all this happening? Blah, blah, blah. He's the senator that filed the bill. And then, he's like, yeah, we're still waiting on this. And then, of course, David Altmaier at that point was the head of OIR, I believe because I think that was 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, he gave him another year.
Yeah. And then he had the audacity to say the following year that he's like, Senator Boyd is like, oh yeah, the way, or either that or OIR, either way, somebody interpreted it as saying that, oh, I thought it was like the following year that we had, so I didn't think it was
what's funny is, and the data they're seeking is data they know. Right. I mean, we're not asking them to go through files and dig through things. We're like, how much you spend on lawyers? How much you pay in claims? What you pay for it's things that they have to know in order to operate their business. I'm not asking them to I'm not saying, go back to 1972 and find me all your claims files and they're all on paper in some warehouse somewhere. I'm saying for the last couple of years, information you have to know in order to stay financially solvent, even to prove to OIR you're allowed to operate without going into bankruptcy. That information was befuddling to the insurer as to what they had to put together and how to produce it.
Right. It's absolutely amazing what they get away with. Even asking the senator who quote unquote drafted the bill, even though we know none of them do. They're puppets of filing the bills for whoever powers that be, right?
Lobbyists, right?
All right. Well, the last couple of years, it's been the governor's office itself who's been filing these bills and using the puppets to file these.
And serving them often on Friday for a Monday morning hearing. Literally, I forget exactly which number it was, but it came out on Friday afternoon, about 120 pages, and was set for a Monday or Tuesday morning committee meeting, and no one had read it. And then even though no one had read it, at the hearing on the bill itself, nobody contested it.
Right.
Like, they were like, okay. We're like, what's it say? They're like, well, it was a long bill.
Yeah, right.
Nobody knew.
I don't need to read it.
And everybody was there for insurance reform and for policy reduction or premium reduction, and nowhere in that 102 pages or 120 pages, whatever it is, where those two words exist next to each other. And so it was like, what are we here for? What are we really doing? And that's just to serve the insurance companies that put up $100 million to the governor's office to run for president.
Well, I mean, part of the whole legislation, obviously, was the idea that we gave the insurance industry this great relief in exchange for premium reduction, and for at least premium stability.
Right.
And what started happening with even David Altmaier started to talk, the former head of OIR, even he said, well, we think at best the bill will keep prices from going up. Like, forget going down.
Right.
Even all this legislation and all these people making all
they're
this
saying it
money.
can't get any worse, right? And it's like, is that good enough? I mean, the problem is that
But it has.
Exactly. As a consumer, it's like, okay, 2022, let's institute this bill where lawyers' fees are okay. So let's give us that plateau.
Right.
It's still increasing.
Yeah. Right.
Nothing's gone down, and none of those bills say premium reduction anyway. But even OIR said at best it'll keep things stable. And all we've seen is the exact opposite, which is why these legislators are all up in arms, because they see their constituents, right? And we all realize politicians typically want to get reelected, right? As soon as they get in, the next day they start their reelection campaign. They're worried about losing their jobs because they voted for something that did not provide any relief, much less anything that's made things worse.
And they should. They should lose their jobs. Yeah. Constituents need to put their foot on these politicians' necks.
Right. And then, of course, you even the article you talked about, there's a Republican that is asked several times, like, hey, what has happened with their insurance? And what I was going to go into is like saying, well, we have seen some insurance companies come out or offer policies that are cheaper, but then we run into issues like with policy limitations, exclusions, and things like that. I mean, look at the policies now. They didn't used to have all these limitations and exclusions, such as like a $5,000 sewer backup cap, a $10,000 water damage cap, $10,000 mold cap, right? I mean, so now you're telling me if you have a water loss and you have some mold because of it, your cap is $20,000 total. Let's say your house gets damaged greatly by sewer backup. Now, does that mean, and you have water damage and you have mold, you would think, okay, well, I have $25,000. Hans, how much do you actually have?
Well, you don't. I mean, that's the whole thing. We always tell people all the time on the show. I was mentioned when I do mediations, I have an adjuster who always wants to tell my client how much coverage they have. And sir, your policy provides for $400,000 in coverage A, dwelling coverage. And I go,
wow.
Yeah, but you can't get to it.
Yeah,
you can't get your house burns to the ground. You get $400,000 maybe, and that's only because the law requires it, and even that's got some questions to it.
So so we always tell people, look at your policy, and maybe it's hard, right? Because you want to look at the entire policy, but you almost want to look at what you don't have first, right? I mean, what are the exclusions? And the new word is limitation.
Yes,
right. Because before
the exclusion upsets people. Right. Things that get excluded makes them unhappy. But they put a limit, and we always talk about, again, the shiny words, the amount of coverage you have is always on page 1, and on page 24 is when they start telling you what they don't pay for.
Right. And in what's instance, you have to notice it within so many days and all these other things, right? You're almost scared to like go out of town for the weekend. It's like, oh my God, am I going to, fail my policy in some way if I come home?
Pipe breaks always happen Saturday at midnight, right?
Right. While you go off for the weekend.
It does. And those immediate leaks are almost like you're going to, more than likely, your insurance company is going to try to work with you. It's those slow ones that you don't catch for a while, right?
Yeah, the refrigerator line that feeds the ice maker, right? We've talked about that before. It's like you have a $2,000 like refrigerator, and then you have a 50-cent line that like connects your water pressure to the
and the
ice
refrigerator is in front of it. So God forbid that little ferrule leaks a little bit. You know how long it's going to take for you to even realize that there's a little drip happening once every 30 seconds behind a
And the problem too
800-pound
with all
freight.
that too is that the insurer then claims that's a lack of maintenance, right?
Yep.
And that's what kind of puts an affront on the whole thing. The idea that, like you said, you have a couple drops here and there that come out of the back of your refrigerator, and they say lack of maintenance. Like, I don't know about you, but last time I looked behind my refrigerator, I have to tell you, it was a long time ago. So from a maintenance item, the idea that you're supposed to literally like roll your fridge out or pull your fridge out every so often.
Well,
just
most
to
are
make
built
sure.
in. Most people don't take it out because they're built in.
Yeah.
But that's where the lack of maintenance becomes. That's like on a roof claim, they'll say, "Well, you did fail to maintain your roof," and I'm like, "What do you want me to do?"
Is there a pamphlet?
Yeah,
Did I not get the
sweep it or
Did I not
something?
get the memo?
Like roof maintenance. I mean, what do you want me to do to the roof? I want to go up and sweep all the granules off. Will that make you feel better? I mean, but there's always something. You know, if you report it, well, I should put it this way:
Granular degradation.
If you maintain it. They'll complain it's getting too old. If you don't maintain it, they'll say it's a lack of maintenance. I mean, there's always a reason why.
There's a company that's in a networking group that I'm a part of. It's called Bright Green Roof. They actually can rejuvenate roofs and keep them covered past that 10-year mark. It's called Bright Green Roof of Central Florida. They come out and give free estimates. Yeah,
Angela, call
they
them up. We wanna talk to those guys.
They reintroduce the oils into the roof to prevent that granular loss. And he's had guys that have not been able to get a roof covered from insurance, and then they come out and do this rejuvenation and are able to get coverage for at least the next 5 years.
We want to talk to those people.
Well, and that's what the law change did for us, is say that the insurance companies, because right after that bill, they came out with the OOPS bill, and that was to allow to where an insurance company on a consumer side finally gave us a win, as minor as it was, but they said that an insurance company cannot cover you or non-renew you if you have at least 5 years remaining on your roof.
Exactly. So they're doing these inspections to see if that's the case, right?
Right. So
before they deny or before they not
roofing
renew.
inspector or an engineer, licensed roofer, if you hire one of those folks,
Certifies that,
right, that have that type of licensures in the state of Florida, then, and they say you have at least 5 years, you turn that into your insurance company for coverage at that point. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And Bright Green Roof, they do a lot of that kind of stuff, and he works a lot with pressure washing companies, soft wash companies, roofing contractors to say, hey, look, the client doesn't either A, have the funds to do this, or B, they're kind of being bent over by their insurance. Can you help us in this situation? And they have good success doing that. They're able to help consumers out.
That's a good thought about that, because usually if you're at that stage, and let's say you have a 20-year roof and you're at that 15-year age or point, and it just looks like crap because you're underneath trees and such like that, just giving that fresh new look could give that that opinion. And if we have it, like, it almost seems to me like you would put like a clear coat, like an epoxy over it, right, to stop the granules from moving anymore.
It's just oils, because the shingles themselves, the asphalt shingles, they dry out, and that's when you start getting that granular loss. Now, I'm no roofing specialist. I'm just kind of recapping what I've heard him say in his presentations, but it makes sense that when they dry out, the wind and rain hit the roof, the granules fall off, and now that's when you get that significant roof damage.
Right. And in many cases, you have so much water from so much rain going over that you can actually have some granular loss just from heavy rains.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, and the
Especially
opposite
here.
can be true if it's super dry and brittle. To your point, you can also get some of that granular loss.
Yeah. It's insane what these insurance companies are doing. I mean, more and more we're getting called out to residential houses for the most random things, like, oh, now they're no longer covering any supply line that goes that's plastic, from the angle stop to the toilet, from the angle stop to any fixture, whether it's PE, poly, doesn't matter. They want all stainless steel braided. If any angle stop doesn't shut off, there's different companies have different things that they look for, and I don't know if it's industry specific to those companies, or if it's the inspector that the insurance companies are sending out there. If the water heater's over 10 years old, good luck getting renewed. If the CPVC or a PEX pipe is made within certain years, good luck getting renewals.
I remember when I got my last homeowners policy, I had to take everything out from under all my sinks and take photos under all my sinks.
Yeah.
No kidding. It's part of the man, I've never done that, but as
part of the renewal.
Getting a bid. Was that for new insurance or for your renewal?
No, for new insurance, because I had farmers.
They do it for renewals as well, and then you get a letter in the mail after the inspection's over saying, "Hey, you need to fix this, and this deficiency in the next 14 days before you're covered."
It's funny because I got a letter back, and luckily I was going to I was like, I'll throw it away or something. And I opened up, and it said, "Please take a different photo of this bathroom sink connection or the P-trap was whatever they said. They want another photo."
Yeah.
And literally, it was one of those things. I was like, it looks like, well, maybe we should look at this. And they said, well, otherwise, we're not going to give you coverage. And
Got lucky.
Thank God. Yeah, really, because I was just going to throw it away with everything else.
Well, I guess I was thinking, I didn't have to do that. No, I turned in a 4-point inspection and a wind mitt to get my insurance, the new insurance, whereas years past, you didn't have to do that. I mean, the insurance companies have the right to assess the property before they give insurance, before they offer that risk. And
actually, they should do more of that, in all honesty. One of the problems we run into with claims is after a claim is made, they go back and they go, well, the roof is old, the plumbing's old. And you're like, well, if you looked at it beforehand,
right,
and you should have told those people, no, we're going to take your money. What they want to do, they sign you up, they take your money, and then they wait till you make a claim, then tell you why they don't pay it. But they got all your money in the meantime.
Right. Because the stage of whatever it was, your roof or the plumbing or whatever, at the time they took your money was insurable. Right. And so, unless proven otherwise, and to your point, yes, they should be doing more of that. Now, if they offered such a discount, I ended up finding a discount or a new company that just popped up. Loggerhead, who I guess it was the AAA executives went over to Tampa and started that. Mm-hmm. And because I was able to prove that everything was maintained very well, they gave you a discount on that. But again, I had to watch for, while I was shopping, I found all of these policies that seemed really good up front. Oh, you got all this coverage, hundreds of thousands of dollars of coverage, and then all this stuff, until I got into the limitations. Until I got into every company was saying $5,000 in sewer backup, right? And then they would have this $10,000 water damage limitation in there, and you can go up to maybe 25 or 50,000 in mold, but that was the max. And I'm like, man, if I have water damage coming in, and in the state of Florida,
what are the things that are going to cause the most damage? Sewage on the floor and water damage, right?
That's right. And that's exactly where I was going. Those are the two major causes of losses in the state of Florida. So it makes sense why they would want to restrict it or limitation. It pisses me off as a client because that's what I need. Yeah. It's like if I'm in California, I need fire coverage, right? I need volcano coverage. Yeah. But over here, I get a hell of a lot of volcano coverage in Florida.
Cheap. Volcano coverage is very cheaper.
It is very cheap. It's very odd.
Yeah.
But does it cover the water damage from the ensuing tsunami due to the volcano, right?
Right. Right. That's
denied.
Right. And that's something I would have to go through Hans' office.
Exactly.
And we haven't given your information out. If you're listening now, get out your cell phone, type in the word lawyer in your contacts, and add Hans Kennon to it. Whether you think you need him now or not, you may need a lawyer at some time. You will need a lawyer at some time in your life.
It's Hans Kennon. It's Hans Kennon, Kennon, 407-782-0258. That's 407-782-0258 is my cell phone. Put that in your phone, save it. You ever need something to call me? I had a guy call me the other day about when we talked about Georgia claims a couple of years ago. And my phone rang and I picked it up, and it was Anthony who listened to the show.
Nice.
And he had a bunch of questions about hiring a roofer to do a roof replacement. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And are you licensed in Georgia?
I have a co-counsel relationship in Georgia. So yes.
All right. Look at that. Yeah. So Helene,
we're doing Helene claims now.
Nice. That's good to know. That's awesome. That's awesome. They got beat up in Georgia for sure. It was it was flooding in Florida and wind stuff in Georgia. Wild stuff, man.
Yeah, and they really don't pay any money in Georgia. Okay. I mean, it's astonishing how the Allstate is probably the biggest insurer in Georgia, and they're just as an aside, we actually had an adjuster call our client and ask if they really signed a fee contract for us to represent them.
Wow. Well, they thought it was fraud or something?
Yeah, yes, sir. For the guy, they called and said, did you really sign an attorney contract? Yeah, I mean, that kind of craziness.
You call it a law firm, right?
No code of ethics with those guys,
No,
huh?
None at all.
Consideration.
It's deliverance insurance, that's what it is.
Wow. And they are the same as we are now in the state of Florida, where there are no attorney's fees, no prevailing party attorney's fees there in the state of Georgia.
Correct. Unless you can show bad faith, but you can never show bad faith in Georgia.
Right. So bad faith, if you do get it, would be a separate action and up to 2 times the amount of the damage.
Well, actually, depending on the U.S. Supreme Court, which gets kind of in the weeds, up to 6 times the amount of actual damage would be the typical limit on a bad faith case.
Wow, that's good stuff to know. Wow,
Yeah.
so if you you do have Helene damage, there you go. Hans is your man.
Hopefully it's all in bad faith, right?
It's usually not in good faith when you get denied after a major hurricane goes over your
100%.
house.
That's the point I was trying to make. It's all in bad faith.
Man, I want to thank you for being on our show. The DrainDaddy.com is where you find them, and for as little as $99 a year, have a
That's a deal,
professional
man.
plumber come out to your home, check out anything that you might have, test the toilets, test the lines, and give you some great advice.
When we say
having you on
test the
show.
toilets, you mean just theoretically? Like,
Yeah, we're
Well,
not
I
going to
mean-
sit on them. I mean, unless you
Unless you
specifically
really
ask for
check it
that.
out.
Yeah. But no, thank you
Taco
guys.
Tuesday's coming.
Thank you
Okay,
guys
just
again for
check.
having us. I look forward to coming back again.
Absolutely. And
great.
thank you guys for listening. We're new to us on this channel, so thank you guys for listening every Monday night right here. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. See you.